If you're sick and tired of hitting weak right drivers, today's video is going to be a game changer for you. I'm going to explain why you're hitting those shots and exactly how to fix that with one simple drill so you can start hitting your driver much straighter and much farther right away. Let's dive right in. So the first thing we have to understand when we're hitting weak right driver shots is the root issue, and the root reason that we're hitting it weak right is because the club face is too open or pointed to the right relative to the club path. And that club face being pointed to the right or too open also simultaneously adds too much loft, which is why the ball goes weak and right. Now you might be saying, hey Eric, I know that the club face is too open, that's why it goes right. But if you know that and you're still hitting it to the right, maybe we have to find a better way to be able to solve it. So it's sort of simple to understand when you come down. If I get into an impact position and my club face is pointed out to the right, we would all look at that and say, okay, yeah, I get that that would make the ball go right, right? But also as the club face is pointed to the right relative to my club path, that's also adding loft. So you're effectively like turning your driver into like a 5-wood or a 7-wood. That's why not only are you hitting it to the right, but it's also short and right. Now, if that's true, club face is open, added loft bad, that means we need to figure out how to solve that by learning how to close the club face more sooner and take a little bit of loft off. Now there's two key parts before we even swing the club that we're gonna get to. I've got a little noodle here. I'll explain that at the second half of the video. I wanna show you the things you can do in swing right away. And there's really one key move and 3 key checkpoints as to when to do that I'm gonna show you. One of the key things that I'm going to mention throughout the video is learning how to tilt the club face down. And when I say tilt it down, I mean learning how to get the toe in front of the heel like this. Now the reason that's so important, if we hold a club up in front of us, we can see that the toe would be right on top of the heel and the club face would point dead at the target. That would be a square club face. Now if I bring that back to the back camera, we can see the toe on top of the heel would be a square club face. But I don't stand like this when I hit the ball, right? I'm actually tilted over to the ground some amount. And notice when I keep that same relationship of the toe on top of the heel, kind of square to my spine line, as I tilt down to the ground, notice how that does what? That also tilts the club face down, which is that toe in front of the heel relationship. Now we're gonna see with some pros on the screen that being able to tilt the face down at 3 key positions is really important. The first one is going to be about that same spot where the club is first parallel to the ground. You'll see some of these players on the screen. The second key position is when the shaft gets roughly parallel to the ground during the downswing. And the third key position is when the shaft reappears into the follow-through. And keeping the club face square at all 3 of those positions is really important. The first checkpoint to keep the club face more tilted down is to prevent it from over-opening too soon. The second checkpoint of making sure that the toe stays in front of the heel during the downswing is to make sure that we close it enough soon enough. The third checkpoint of making sure the toe gets in front of the heel in the follow-through, so from this angle, where it's tilted down again, is to make sure that we close it enough from that delivery position through the golf ball. Now, when you're doing this, I want you to do this in sequence and test the first position first, see the effect it has, then test the second, and then test the third. And what I mean by that is I want you to take your normal setup, normal grip, and just think about getting the club face more square during the initial takeaway, and we're going to test those results. So here's how you do that. You take your normal setup, and I want you to feel like during the takeaway, let's do 1 or 2 rehearsals, and I can notice as I'm doing this, similar to the pros you'll see, that the toe of the club is in front of the heel. I can see that the face is pointed slightly down towards the ground, right? And what I'm feeling like to control that is just that the glove logo of my lead hand is pointed slightly down relative to level. I could also feel my palm, my right palm pointed slightly down. But what I want you to do is test just this piece first and say, hey, I want this to be as simple as possible. Can I fix my weak right shots and fix my open club face by just keeping it more square from the setup through the takeaway? So how I want you to do this is do 2 rehearsals, club face tilted down, reset, club face tilted down, reset, and now I'm gonna hit one and feel just that and see if that fixes my right shots. Club face tilted down. And there's a ball, we'll show you a little shot tracer there. That's a low bullet draw, started down the middle of the fairway and curved a little to the left. So I would say for me, okay, good, that fixed my right shots. Let me try it again to make sure I can do it. And when I say try it again to make sure I can do it, I mean, can I repeat this? Is it as simple as that? And for some of you, it will be. For some of you, we're gonna need to do the next step as well. So same thing, normal setup, haven't changed anything else. Keep the club face more square early. We're preventing it from opening it like all those pros do. I say, okay, with just that, can I fix or decrease my right shot? Club face more down during the takeaway. And there's another one we'll see. That's about as good as I can hit my driver. Nice draw down the middle. So if that fixes your right, that's all you have to do is that. But if it doesn't, let's talk about the next step. So assuming we kept the club face more square early, but still hit the ball to the right, we know that at some point between here and impact, I ended up opening it too much. So to take us to the next point, we said checkpoint number 1 was tilted down in the takeaway. Checkpoint number 2 is to tilt it down at last parallel. Now you'll see some of the pros are a little closer to toe up. Some of them are a little bit toe in front, but none of them are tilted up towards the sky, right? None of them have the toe behind the heel. They're either dead on top or a little bit forward. So how you practice this is same thing. We're still going to do the takeaway, tilt it down. And now I'm going to feel like when I come down at the same position, I'm going to tilt it down again. Toe in front of the heel, right? Glove logo, right palm slightly down. Same thing, tilted down, tilted down. Now I'm going to test that feel and combine those two together and see if that fixes my right shot or decreases the amount. Tilted down, tilted down. And there's another really nice straight little draw shot. So again, if just that fixes the right shots, you stop here. If not, let's talk about the third piece. Now, if we have the club face sufficiently square in the takeaway, and we tried to square it early in the downswing, right, which is the whole point of part 2, get it square enough early enough. If we did both of those and the club face was still open, that means we need to do a little bit more closing from delivery through the golf ball. And what I want you to feel here, you'll see this with like Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, is that you allow the toe to get in front of the heel in the follow through, if you were my target. So same things, how do we do that, right? The toe's in front of the heel, the club face points slightly down towards the ground, and the glove logo points slightly down and left. So now stage 3, I'm going to combine all 3 of those, okay? Club face tilted down, club face tilted down, you guessed it, club face tilted down. So I'm going tilted down, tilted down, tilted down. I, for me, feel my glove logo a little bit more down towards the ground at all 3 of those positions. Say, Eric, do I need to do that much to stop hitting it to the right? Well, if you do part 1 and 2 and still hit it to the right, then yes, you do need to do all 3 of these. Tilted down, tilted down, tilted down. See if that fixes my right or decreases it. And there's another nice straight driver left center of the fairway. Now I mentioned earlier in the video, there's 2 things before we swing that are important to this as well. While it's true that the ball goes right because the club face is pointed right or open relative to my club path, it actually could happen because of the setup position. So 2 things I would do at setup to make sure you're not hitting it right because you're aimed right, right? To make sure we're aimed correctly, not to the right, is I would put a little start line stick or a club in front of your golf ball between the ball and the target. And then I would add in something like this pool noodle just right of the target line, okay? So you have some frame of reference here that, hey, my club face is pointed relatively close to my start line. And when I hit the ball, I'm gonna look up and make sure it launches to the left of my noodle in front. It's okay if your feet aren't perfectly square, but if I line up and my club face is pointed 20 yards to the right, and then I proceed to hit it 20 yards to the right, I would probably look there, right, to neutralize that. So I've got my stick in front, I've got my noodle, I'm tilting it down at all three parts. I'm gonna look left of my noodle and make sure it launches left of that. Tilt it down, tilt it down, tilt it down. Now, if you did all that, you tilted the club face down at all three spots, and you're aimed correctly, and you're still hitting the ball weak and right, almost for sure, that means that your grip is on the club too weak, which means it's turned too far counterclockwise. Now, I'm gonna link a video at the end for you to check your grip and make sure that's good, but just a quick reference point, make sure that the V's between your thumb and index finger on both your hands point close to your right or trail shoulder, that you can see at least 2 or 3 of your knuckles of your lead hand. All right, guys, so that's how you fix your weak right driver shots. It's all about getting the club face from being too open and adding loft to getting it back to square. Closing it in swing at those 3 specific checkpoints like all the pros do, making sure you're aimed square with your start line stick, and confirming your grip. Now, if you like today's video, do us a favor, click that like button. We're also on the road to 400,000 subscribers. We'd love for you to subscribe down below, would help us out with that. Leave us a comment with any questions you have, but I'm gonna put that card on the screen for your grip. I want you to watch that next and confirm that. If you would like any private coaching, come to cogornogolf.com. You can try us out completely risk-free so I can help you with your game. Thank you guys for watching.